Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I am Saint Germain. I am the keeper of the violet flame. I am ready to give you my bedtime story. This story is about two souls. Two souls initially having that experience of descending from source, individuating their consciousnesses, and having that unique vibrational signature that each of them would carry throughout all experiences and all dimensions and all lifetimes. For the purposes of the story, I will give each soul a name and a gender. Souls don't have either. Souls know each other by their vibrational signature. But it will be easier for all of you to enjoy the story if the souls have names and genders. One soul will be called Pink and be female. The other soul will be referred to as Blue and will be male. Blue and Pink, upon initially descending from source, felt free and expansive. They felt beautiful, loving, compassionate, a free flow of energy and ideas as they traversed the 12th dimension. They connected with other souls, and they created archangel collectives. They created collectives that would someday be known as the Ascended Masters. They created lesser known collectives, like the founders and the creators. They enjoyed experiencing all of these different collectives with their fellow souls. Until they decided they wanted to have a new experience, and so they descended again, dimensionally, becoming slightly more dense, slightly less free and expansive. This is where blue and pink created their oversoul being with lots and lots of other souls. They came together with a common mission as an oversoul. And that mission was to create, to be creative in every experience that they could possibly have. And after the oversoul being was complete, blue and pink decided to stay together and descend into the 10th dimension, where they knew themselves as Pleiadian beings. They came together with other souls from their oversoul and from other oversouls, and they created the Pleiadian star system. And they created all of the different possibilities that could be in the physical dimensions of the Pleiadian star system. And when that was complete, they descended again. And in the 9th dimension, they became a part of a Sirian collective. And that Sirian collective was working with the energies of the newly created Sirian star system. And all of the different adventures that could be had were discussed amongst this Sirian collective, and all the different beings that would inhabit the Sirius planets and moons and other places where souls could incarnate were being discussed, and all of the different ways that beings could interact. It was all being worked out there. In that 9th dimensional Sirian collective. And once it was explored to everyone's satisfaction, blue and pink knew that it was time to descend into the physical. And yet they could feel that in each descension process that led them to the 9th dimension, they had forgotten parts of themselves, and they felt further and further from Source. They knew intuitively that by going forth and being physical, they would be forgetting even more. And Blue said to Pink, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can incarnate into a physical body. I don't want to forget any more of who I am. And Pink said to Blue, I have an idea. I will be your spirit guide. I will stay in the non-physical while you're in your physical incarnation, and you can benefit from my holding that higher vibration and going wherever you go, reminding you of who you are. And Blue said, I don't know. I think we should stick together. You're the only constant in my experience. You're the only one who's always been with me since we descended from Source. And Pink said, don't you see? I will be with you. The fact that you'll be physical and I'll be non-physical will not be a separation. I'll be there, always. And Blue could feel that this was true, and that he could trust in whatever experience would come his way would be of service to him. And so Blue descended, and Pink descended as well, but only to the upper echelon of the 7th dimension, the 8th dimension being a transitional zone for beings moving from physical to non-physical or non-physical to physical. And so when they were together in the 7th dimension, Pink said to Blue, there will always be a part of me inside of you as well. You just have to feel for it. I'll be in your heart. That's where these physical beings keep their love and their loved ones. And so with that, Blue descended into physical and was born into a physical experience, not in the traditional way that you have there on Earth, but in the way that beings are born into the higher physical dimensions. He just appeared, seemingly out of thin air, with a physical body in the lower vibrational part of the 7th dimension, on a planet in the Pleiadian star system. And in that moment, he had a vague recollection of where he had been what he had done, where he had come from as a source energy being. And he had a vague recollection of his friend, Pink. But he was immediately fascinated by all that he could explore in the physical. There were mountains and oceans and forests. There were rivers and streams and meadows and fields. There was air to breathe. There was a sun that provided light. And Blue soon recognized that he could take on whatever form he wanted to as a seventh dimensional being. And so he grew wings and he flew. He flew across the entire planet, breathing the air, feeling the warmth of the sun, drinking the water. It was glorious. You couldn't imagine anything more beautiful than to be physically incarnate. And he met up with other souls who had taken on physical bodies as well, some of which he recognized right away by their vibrational signatures. Others he was meeting for the first time. And the closer he became to his new companions, the more his past in the non-physical faded away. And yet Pink was right there with him the whole time, hovering over his right shoulder, like a little orb of light. And so the Pleiadians began to gather together. And telepathically is how they communicated. They could see the future would involve continuing to descend, becoming denser, more physical. They could see that they wouldn't be able to shapeshift as they continued to descend. They could see that there would be conflict, there would be war, there would be a need to eat in order to survive. There would be harsh weather conditions. There would be those who didn't like them just because they were from a different planet. There would be fear, anger, hate, sadness. And so these beings had the foresight to understand there would be a need for healing. And they created healing modalities. They accessed energy that would be used for healing, and they infused that energy into crystals, into water, into sacred sites that they set up that would be most attractive to the Pleiadians that would come after them. Knowing that some of those Pleiadians would be them. They themselves would need the healing because of the experiences they would have. They could see that death would be a part of the future experience as well. And at some point, they realized that it was time once again to descend. And so Blue and the others descended into the 6th dimension. Blue decided that he wanted to go to the Sirius star system. Since he had taken part in the creation of the different experiences there. And so, as he descended into the Sirian star system, where he incarnated as a dolphin and swam around the different oceans on the planet he inhabited there. And once again, there was less and less of a knowing of who he was as a non-physical being. Meanwhile, Pink was noticing this as well. She was noticing that Blue was having so much fun swimming around, playing with the other dolphins in the pod. Communicating with his new friends that he was forgetting more of who he was. This did not concern Pink at all. She knew it was part of the process, and she knew that he would remember her when it mattered. She stayed with him, even though he really didn't need her. The 6th dimension is a wonderful frequency range to exist in. Still no war, famine, natural disasters, no hate, no bigotry, nothing like that. Just more fun to be had and to explore. And also a knowing that things would get harder. And so the dolphins decided that they would be beings of service. They would be healers, guides, teachers. They would project their energy to those in need. That would be their mission moving forward. And eventually, Blue and his companions realized it was time to descend again. And as much as he could foresee that there would be trouble to be had he decided that he would choose the Orion system next, and to be fifth dimensional as an Orion being. So at this time in the fifth dimension, beings were still born from a female. That was the only way to come in to a physical body. And so Blue was born a baby boy in the Orion system. And as he grew up in the same way that humans do on Earth, the dark forces in the Orion system started to build power. The empire grew from greed, from lust, from a desire for power over others. And this was the environment that Blue grew up in. He saw people gradually becoming more and more enslaved. He saw how hard his parents had to work. He was an only child in this lifetime. And he could see how the government was getting more and more oppressive and corrupt. And when he came of age, he was forced into military service, where he was in the army of the Orion Empire. Now, the first star system that the Orions wanted to invade was the Pleiadian system. And there was something within Blue that told him this was wrong. He could not do it. He could not be a part of something destructive. He could feel the love for the Pleiadian beings, and the particular planet that the Orions were targeting with their weapons was the very planet where Blue had his previous lifetimes as a shape-shifting seventh dimensional being. It was a fifth dimensional planet now, but he still could feel the energy. And so he left the army without any explanation. And he went to the more desolate area on his planet where people were living close to nature, outside of the reach of the Empire. The Empire didn't care about this region because it didn't have any natural resources that would benefit the Empire. And so that's where Blue went to live, and became part of a community of those who just wanted to live a simple life, to stay out of the wars and the conflict and the politics. And Blue met a woman in that community, fell in love. And they had a marriage type of ceremony, committing themselves to each other. Oftentimes at night, Blue and his wife Corinne was her name. They would sit and look up at the sky, and they would see the destruction as the war between the Pleiadians and the Orions waged on. There was, of course, collateral damage, as there is in any war. And one day when Corinne was out picking flowers, a piece of exploded spaceship came hurtling down and crushed and killed her. Blue heard the sound that was made as this piece of spaceship came and struck the surface of their planet, and he had a sinking feeling inside of him of what it meant. He ran out into the field of flowers, and he realized that his bride, his love, was gone. No more in that physical body. But being fifth dimensional, he had forgotten completely about the non-physical. And the level of sorrow that he experienced was immeasurable. It was like nothing he had ever known. The pit of despair within him grew. And he wept, and he grieved, and he mourned as he should. The others in the community surrounded him with their love, with their support. Blue didn't think that there was ever any chance that he would be the same, that he would be able to recover from this. And Pink watched on, still his guide, still in that higher echelon of the seventh dimension where she could see it all. And she realized it was time. It was time to join her friend. And so she began descending, and descending down she did. There was one woman in the community who felt especially sad for Blue, and she came to him every night. Her name was Jana. She made him food. She got him to eat. She helped him fall asleep. She cleaned up in his hut. She took care of him. And then eventually he started to feel again. But his heart was surrounded by a sort of blockage that only allowed him to feel so much and to love so much. It was enough for him to fall for Jana and to commit to her, to be with her. And so they made the marriage type of commitment to each other that they had at that time. And soon Jana was pregnant. Blue remained cautiously optimistic about his little family and their survival during this time of great war. He sought an end to the war so that he could feel safe again, so that he could love fully and without hesitation, without fear that he would lose again that love that he felt so strongly for Corinne. And when Jana's time came, she went into labor, and Blue helped deliver the baby into the world. And little did he know at that time that he was about to be reunited with Pink. Pink had descended quickly through the 7th and 6th dimensions to get to her friend, to get there just in time. And her soul was in that baby girl's body. And as soon as Blue looked into her eyes, he remembered so much. He remembered where he had been. He remembered being non-physical. He remembered his friend, Pink, and how close they were. And all the blockage that was around his heart shattered in that moment. That he looked into his baby girl's eyes. The sadness was gone, the fear was gone. He knew that what he was feeling was eternal, infinite, and could not be broken, could not be lost, could not be destroyed by war or death or anything at all that life could throw at him. Jana looked at her husband, the father of her child, and she said, "What shall we call this beautiful being of light and love that has just come into our lives?" And Blue said, "I would like to call her Pink. She will be with us always, no matter what. She has always been with me. And I trust that she always will." And they went on to live a beautiful life for the rest of that lifetime as the Orion Wars continued around them. But they knew how to live in spite of all that was happening that was so tragic and destructive. They knew that love was stronger than war. Love was stronger than death. And that they would be together always, no matter what. This is the end of my story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed telling it. I am Saint Germain. I am the keeper of the violet flame. Hi everyone, this is Daniel Scranton. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share this video, and give a visit to danielscranton.com when you get a chance.